The caption says this will haunt your dreams. I really don't even want to. I wish I could show you guys without having me looking at it.
It's so interlaced that they have a whole server farm of computers just to deconstruct the two images and be able to see what they're looking at in the future.
Now the question is what type of atmospheric solar beam hit this location?
You were never supposed to be afraid of bugs.
You know, I'm not afraid of daddy long legs either. I can do that too. In today's video, we're featuring all types of mysterious videos and TikToks that no one can explain. Hit that like and subscribe button as we dive through these videos and try to make sense of all this madness. If junk commercials were honest.
Where is it? Yeah, mister, come on!
Pipe down! Hello there! I'm Roger. My last name is Horton, and I'm here to tell you all about Horton's ground-up corn and rice with salt. But you already knew that, because we've spent billions of dollars advertising our edible fat shavings to kids. You remember this thing from the commercials we aired on your favorite cartoon channels right after school let out.
I'm addicted to this stuff.
It's true, she is. You all are.
It's bad for you, but it tastes good.
At Horton's, our hydrogenated oil sponges are made of the freshest additives and come in a variety of flavors and shapes, like a circle, or an oval, or a cone, or a hyperbolic parabola, or whatever shape you'll buy. It's fake food, so we can make it into whatever you want. Here, how about this? We put them all together because it doesn't actually matter. Nothing will stop you from eating food that's so processed it no longer contains any ingredient that resembles actual food. You'll also need about 3 times more of it to feel as full as if you'd just eaten an apple or something your body was meant to actually process. And it's fine, because once you start eating it, your brain will go on autopilot, and before you know it, you'll have eaten an entire bag and you'll feel just like the garbage you just made. Why did I eat all that crap? Oh, look, this ground up corn and salt is fish. We know exactly what to add to our chemical crackers to make you tick and keep on ticking. Not in the sense of keeping you alive, more like we've spent millions in funded research geared toward finding out how to make you and your family resemble rats on. Who knew it? Just took a little sugar. We did, since 1960, but we paid researchers to hide the evidence. No wonder our special ground-up corn and rice with sugar is flying off the shelves. Look, they're shaped like tiny little sugar cubes. There's a sugar cube. Get that to marketing. When we're not spending money brainwashing your kid into thinking these virtual bags of waste products should be part of their diet, we're spending it on lobbyists who keep you from actually knowing what's in the food we've trained you to buy.
Oh, Mom, can I get some ground-up corn, rice with sugar? Please, please, please.
Fine, but we're getting this low-fat, low-sodium, healthy ground-up corn and rice with sugar.
What if she was like, yay, I can't wait to taste the sodium bicarbonate?
Fine, but we're getting this low-fat, low-sodium, healthy ground-up corn and rice with sugar.
A mother trying to fight against the years of advertising we've shoved into her daughter's brain. Even though you try to get your kids to eat healthier, we've spared no expense hiding the actual nutrition facts from you. Whether it's intentionally making our food labels confusing with measurements no Americans currently use to cook, using lobbyists to stop bills that would make our food labels more transparent, or paying researchers to claim our products don't cause childhood obesity, we're years ahead of you. So don't even try. You got that? Don't try. Also, our healthy ground-up corn and rice with sugar has 3 times the sugar of regular ground-up corn and rice with sugar to cover up the salt and fat we took out of it.
Really?
Really. But here at Horton Food, we don't just care about making cheap food quickly for maximum consumption. We care about your family, which is why we work hard to stay in your children's school lunches and cafeterias so that we can increase brand loyalty and stay a permanent part of your family's routine.
Hey, that's the guy who gave us ground up corn and rice with salt. He has more! Get him!
Now these are lab rats if I've ever seen one, and I've seen many. Again, I'm Roger.
We honestly need to be making our own snack foods. Or dehydrating some fruit and making our own like fruit roll-ups, you know? There's a road in the middle of nowhere that leads to the strangest place. Oh yeah? Let's take a closer look. The lace curtain. This looks melted. If I ever seen something that looked melted, this is it, guys. Like a melted candle. Now the question is what type of atmospheric solar beam hit this location? How exactly did it get melted, if it is? How hot would it actually have to be to melt some type of structure like this? And maybe that would explain what happened to everything else around this location. Speaking about mysteries, last night, this person walked around at 1 a.m. at a beach and look at what they found. Look at all those fish. I don't know if these fish are supposed to be out of the water or not, but all it takes is a shovel and you could save so many. You'll be a little exhausted, but man, I'll save a couple thousand that night. But I do wonder what type of species they are. Like, is this natural for them or was it just low tide? Speaking about water, let's hear this interesting theory real quick.
There are only a few liquids on Earth that actually expand when frozen, and water is one of them. So with this being said, let's think about the fact that we are being told that the sea levels are rapidly rising because all of the ice is melting. But did you know that roughly 90% of an iceberg is actually underwater? So if all of this ice is melting, and most of the ice is already underwater, and water expands when frozen, then how are the sea levels rapidly rising? But maybe my train of thought here is wrong. Are the sea levels rising though? Just go to Florida, where all of these cities are being built literally on the water. Go to Dubai, where they have built neighborhoods on the rapidly rising sea levels. Why would they do that? Why would all of the rich people invest into coastal cities if the sea levels are rising? This woman points out that Captain Cook landed in Australia in 1770 on that rock, and that rock is still not underwater. Maybe the rock rose with the rapidly rising sea levels. Here in Hawaii, I don't see any evidence of the sea levels rising, okay? Same with Lucy. She's doing
Wow, the Statue of Liberty.
just fine. It's been years, but I made this video entirely for entertainment purposes only. Of course, climate change is definitely real, guys. There are only a few
You were never supposed to be afraid of bugs. For thousands of years, they lived alongside us, pollinating our food, recycling the earth, keeping balance in every ecosystem. All around the planet, insect populations are collapsing. Over 40% of species are declining, and a third could disappear in our lifetime. Studies across the world show flying insects have dropped by more than 75% in just a few decades. Wait a minute. Monarch butterflies are down 95%. Nearly a quarter of native bee species in America are moving toward extinction.
Not the monarch butterflies. Now it's personal. I'm mad my damn butterfly plant I planted last year, it didn't make it. I must have not planted it too deep or something, but it didn't make it. Make sure when you replant plants, you know, my hydrangea didn't make it. I didn't plant them deep enough.
Even our beloved fireflies, the light of the summer nights, are disappearing. Scientists warn that if this decline continues, they could vanish within our lifetime. Insects, they're kind of the foundation of life. They pollinate 75% of the world's flowering plants and a third of the crops that feed us. We didn't start out afraid of bugs, though. We were taught to be. Early Hollywood turned them into monsters in the 1950s. Movies like Them and The Fly portrayed insects as dangerous, alien, and out of control, mirroring our fear of invasion and contamination. Bugs stopped being a part of nature and became symbols of danger.
The movie Arachnophobia didn't help. What was that actor's name? He played on 101 Dalmatians. And he played on Dumb and Dumber. I forgot his name, but he starred in that Arachnophobia movie. That's probably my favorite movie with him. That was a good movie, actually. If you haven't seen it, Arachnophobia.
Then came the chemical age after World War II. Companies launched a war on pests and profits. Ads showing smiling families spraying DDT in their homes, promising cleanliness. Killing bugs became a sign of order, hygiene, and success. But in all this, what's the biggest culprit? Pesticides. They coat millions of acres of crops and even our garden seeds, turning entire plants toxic. Over time, they've made our farmlands 48 times more toxic than they were just a few decades ago. When we poison the planet, we poison ourselves, guys. We were never supposed to be afraid of bugs. We were supposed to live in harmony with them. Where's my little friend at? So here's what you can do. Number one, stop using herbicides and pesticides in your home. You don't need to wage war on your own yard. Every patch of ground that stays chemical free becomes a refuge for life. Number two, reminder, you ain't seen the last video, leave the leaves. They're not clutter. They're cover.
But how do we battle ticks then? Cause ticks like to hide under the leaves, don't they? You know, so you don't want ticks out there in your yard, you know, with cover. Leaving the leaves, it doesn't look good. Like, I'm all for, you know, helping the environment and the insects. I get it. But y'all ain't about to have my yard looking a mess. Leaves are beautiful in October, November, but after that, it's a wrap. Get rid of them. Burn them. Come pick it up. I'm with you, brother. I hear you, but I'm not leaving them leaves.
Shelter, food, a whole world preparing for spring. If you're worried about drains and walkways, just move the leaves off the hard surfaces. Keep them in garden beds, under trees, around shrubs. The goal isn't chaos, it's balance. People say it'll kill their grass. Maybe it's time to ask, why is a perfect green lawn more important than a living planet? Because the truth is, it's not just about the leaves. It's about what we value. When we stop spraying and start leaving things be, the world begins to heal itself quietly, beautifully, naturally. You were never supposed to be afraid of bugs.
You know, I'm not afraid of daddy long legs either. I can do that too, you know, but don't ask me to pick up no Huntsman or something like that. I think Huntsman are the spiders they use for arachnophobia. And since we're on this subject, I'll tell you, matter of fact, I might be able to show you better than I can tell you. This is a little scary, guys. I'm not gonna lie. So, trigger warning. But there was actually this Huntsman. Name was Charlotte. I'd never forget this. Huntsman spider named Charlotte. Out in Australia. Shout out to all my people in Australia. You know, I see y'all. You know, every time y'all drop a comment, Chuck, I'm from Australia, mate. I see you, and I'm not messing with y'all. Got all the dangerous creatures. You got like the world's most venomous snakes, spiders, trapdoor spider, black widows, black mamba. Y'all a different breed out there in Australia, man. But I see y'all and I love y'all, man. I love y'all at a distance. I love all you guys at a distance. In Australia, y'all ain't catching me. But anyways, this Huntsman spider named Charlotte. on a farm. I don't even want to look at this. The caption says this will haunt your dreams. I really don't even want to. I wish I could show you guys without having me looking at it. But I can't do that, so we got to do this together. Take a look at this spider. This is a massive Huntsman spider. Has crawled out of your nightmares onto a rescue sanctuary in Australia. Where else? Look at it. This is a massive spider. This isn't a tarantula. This is just a massive spider that's been eating birds, mice. If this thing got any bigger, it'll be looking at cats and dogs. While the spider easily covers a broom head, it is unclear if she could be the largest huntsman ever. While the average huntsman spider is only about 1 inch long, with a 5-inch leg span, the largest one ever recorded had a leg span of around 12 inches, roughly the size of a dinner plate. Like there's like the bird eating spider tarantula, like them things, like they go as big as a dinner plate easily. But this thing, this isn't normal. This is like a giant wolf spider. I bet you it makes sounds like it might hiss. I'm done with this. This is too a hissing large huntsman wolf spider.
Just amazing. This place is always just mind-boggling in what it is. I was just telling the group here that you know, the background of this is quite astonishing. The walls, as you see them, you have to kind of imagine them as being 3-4 meters taller, so whatever, like 12, perhaps 15 feet taller than what they are up here, because when the Spanish found this place, they thought it was the work of demons and they tried to destroy it. They quarried it extensively. The architecture at the top of the hill behind here changes to andesite, and it's these smaller...
They said this is demon work. We got to get rid of it.
More regular stones, and it was used in the building of Cusco. Garcilaso de la Vega had a quote that said, "There's not a house in Cusco, particularly none built by the Spanish, that is not entirely made from the stones from Sacsayhuaman." And what they couldn't use for quarrying, they would destroy. So they knocked off 3 or 4 meters worth of wall at the top, and then they buried the whole thing. They buried the whole thing in soil because they couldn't destroy it. They shot cannonballs at this and everything. They tried to destroy it and they couldn't. So they buried it in soil, and it wasn't until the 1930s and the 1940s that it started to be excavated. So even the other thing to consider here is not only were the walls taller, we know they were also deeper. So from the modern digs, we know these walls extend down maybe 1 meter, maybe 2 meters, maybe more in some places. And where the ground level is today is somewhat arbitrary based on the excavations that happened over the last 100 years. So you kind of have to use your imagination a little bit to look at this site, but it's not that. I mean, you don't need a whole lot of imagination to, let's see, zoom in a bit here. Just see it. We can also see in sections, not so much here, but over there.
Wow, look at everyone exploring, man. What an amazing sight to be. I wouldn't be surprised if you felt some type of ley line energy at this location.
You can also see the Inca building on top of it. It's the other interesting part about this is that where the Inca repaired this stone, here's a good example. I'll spin around and look at this. Right Where is it? Right. Shit, I can't even see it. Right there. Right there. So little patches of Inca repair work. And when they dug into the walls that the Inca had built, they found that they'd been backfilled with megalithic stones. Which obviously, if you think the same culture built all of this, then why are they backfilling with megalithic stones? If they built it all, presumably they would know where the stones go. So anyway, little update from Sacsayhuaman. Hope you're enjoying it. Cheers.
Project Looking Glass. This is a deep one and a long one, but it may explain the connection of why so many data centers are popping up.
Yesterday and today is the very first public unveiling in a public presentation of Project Looking Glass. A human being is about this tall. This is built in underground bases. It is colossal in size. And what happens is when you fire this thing up, these rings start going in all different directions. It shields off the barrel of water inside, which is just like your pineal gland. The water inside flips over into time-space, which then captures argon gas, captures visual images, and this is what it looks like. It becomes huge, glowing, all the way out to these posts, which are used as stabilizers for the energy field. Now, it doesn't start out with an image of the Earth. That's just there as a placeholder, although you could see the whole Earth like that if you wanted to. That's not usually what happens. Well, contact, right? We have been given the technology right in front of our faces in the movies. They just don't tell you what it's for. In what? 13 Ghosts? Well, thank you. I'll have to check that one out. Doesn't sound like a movie I'd want to see, but if it's for that, oh, I can imagine.
But that machine on 13 Ghosts, I think whoever was watching him tried to throw him a gem, because that's the actual machine at the end of 13 Ghosts is exactly what he's trying to describe.
So contact, just to recap from yesterday, blueprints come in from the Vegans, from Vega. They figure out that it's only when you fold up these patterns into a cube, which forms what there in the center, the triangle with the eye in the middle, as it folds up, cube geometry, that's when you can decode the plans to build this, these rings, which becomes this machine. And there's your little helicopter. So there's another shot of it. They got computer animations of how it's going to work with the different rings moving. This actually looks like the fisheye lens distortion effect that happens around the looking glass when you power it on. There's a gantry crane up at the top, and the little guy is dropped down and goes inside. That's like your barrel inside the mechanism there. And this is where all the action happens. This is where the Stargate opens, the wormhole into the higher realms. In this frame, we're seeing how the whole thing collapsed and fell apart. So of course you want to take a ride. You know, the new the new formation of the one after the old one breaks. And here we're seeing the new one. Once again, you get a very clear view, and there's your little eye with the rays coming off it, just like the all-seeing eye on the dollar. Not surprising. Here she is. It's even larger than the real one, standing on this ladder, looking down inside. This is the chamber and the chair inside, which we'll see is very important. And here's your geometry. Look at that. Did anybody notice that when you were watching the movie? Because it goes by pretty fast. That's that same geometry that's in the background radiation of the whole universe with the sphere in the center. They fire it up. Guess what happens? Big, bright luminosity, just like the real thing. The real thing that they're actually using and have been using since the 40s at least. And here's what it looked like from the control room. It gets brighter and brighter. Then she starts having the floor disappear. She gets dropped down inside. And then, of course, she goes through this wild wormhole ride, and there's an ascension experience at the end of the dream. The Iraq War had, to a large degree, the mission of capturing a looking glass technology that was dug up in Sumer, which was originally in the possession of using this technology, viewing the future. The U.S. government went in after him because they felt that the fate of the world was at stake, because if they did not capture this technology and get it back and deconstruct it, that the Earth would have a pole shift. But when you actually decipher these letters, it means the doctrine of the convergent timeline paradox. Here's the problem. You look through time with this device, And when you hit 2012, everything goes perfectly white. As you get closer and closer to 2012, starting in around 1980, a very strange thing has been happening when they use the looking glass. There is an interlacing of images. So right now, imagine that if I had this slide on half the time, and then the other half of the time, there was an image of like a face. And if I interlace them slowly, then maybe every second it goes from here to the face to here to the face. Then as it speeds up, it gets faster and faster to the point that if it were complex images, you couldn't make out one from the other because they're flip-flopping so fast. Okay? That's called interlacing, and the frequency of the interlacing gets higher and higher as you go towards 2012. So anytime that they try to look at, like, or they used to try to look because they're not using them anymore, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, bam. It's so interlaced that they have a whole server farm of computers just to deconstruct the two images and be able to see what they're looking at in the future.
So when you start thinking about AI and these data centers, are they trying to see the future or what?
So again, this is what they're using. This is one of the main ones they're using, the Orion Cube as they call it, or the cube. And also it's being used with looking glass. But what's going on with 2012? Well, here's another very interesting thing. We have multiple parallel futures that we can choose. And 2012 literally does represent create your own reality time. It has everything to do with what do you expect is going to happen. This is where thoughts becoming reality really takes on a whole new meaning in a way that you've never heard of before. So what they found that was so bizarre was that at December 21st, 2012, they could calculate it down to the day, that's how precise this was, that for some reason all the graphs, all the waves would go into a complete flat line. They no longer moved up and down like before. They went flat for like 7 or 8 seconds. So then they're asking the guys that went through these Stargates and were traveling into the future, what happened to you? Every single time that somebody tried to hit 2012, they said the same thing. There was this thing they called the bump. It actually hits you like a bump. You actually feel like you've slammed into something. And as soon as it slams into you, you have the most incredible religious experience you can imagine. Cosmic consciousness. Your consciousness just blasts into this wonderful place where you have awareness of no space, no time. All knowledge is available to you. Ecstatic God consciousness. You could be the galaxy, you could be a subatomic particle, you can go everywhere, do everything, and there's no sense of it ever ending. So when it finally stops, you just can't even believe that you're back to who you were before.
Like what happened to Jodie Foster?
Exactly what happens to Jodie Foster in Contact. So,
Is that the moment of no time?
that's the zero time, yeah. And Daniel doesn't agree with me on this, but I believe that 2012 is our zero time reference.
Speaking about new technology, check out what Dyson's working on.
Dyson, the vacuum cleaner brand, is quietly dominating farming and no one even knows about it. You see, they built these strawberry farms as a sort of project to see if it would work. And it worked so well, they've started expanding everywhere. They're quickly building these polytunnels all over the place. You see, in the UK, they have a huge problem where during the summer, you can only really grow strawberries in the height of summer, and they're exposed to the elements. There's insects and all sorts of stuff. You've got to spray them all with all sorts of sprays that are no good for the human body. So what they did is they built these polytunnels. They're 500 kilograms each, and they grow strawberries fully automated inside these enclosed greenhouses, which they're going to continue to build over the coming years. They produce 2.5 times faster. They're better. It's nearly almost fully automated. They use machines for everything. It's the future. This is going to take over. Dyson, the vacuum...
What movie was that? About the robot and the bird? It was some Disney movie, I think, and they had like a futuristic crop where it just was robots tending to all the crops, you know? I always thought farmers had nothing to worry about with all this AI and data, but man, saying they got better yielding too? I would need to look at some more data on this. It's that time of the day again. If you thought I wasn't going to hit you with another excellent specimen of the day today, think again, bucko. We got a fluorite. Where's my fluorite at? I think this is a fluorite. You know I got to show my little specimen every chance I can get. But this fluorite is, what, 100 times bigger? And the color, that forest green, you know, this, you gotta love it. The light green. I'm gonna have to rate this about an 8.5. And the name I'm gonna give this, Green Apple Candy, 8.5. Drop your name and for the specimen and your rating down below. That's all we got for today's video. If you made it all the way through this video, be sure you hit that like and subscribe button and drop the code word in the comments below. The code word for today is Project Looking Glass. When you drop Project Looking Glass in the comments below, that lets me know you're a real one. You made it all the way through the end of the video and you really rock with your boy. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I truly love you guys. And with that being said, see you soon.